What is going on, guys? Ali here, and welcome back to the channel once again with a brand new episode. And today we're going to touch base on two things that new players might be asking once they get into Rainbow Six Siege. Does changing your aspect ratio and field of view affect your gameplay in any way? And I have an answer, and here it is. I don't exactly have a definitive answer. So I will get into it. So what is aspect ratio and field of view? These two settings are changed by majority, if not everybody, in the Siege community. Hell, there's probably a lot of people that use default and 60. So what is aspect ratio? Aspect ratio is how everything is shaped, how everything is sized mostly. And for in this case, in my case, for auto, everything will just look a little bit thinner, everything will look more smaller. But for 3, everything will look more wider, bigger, stretched out, and there's a reason for that. And you might be asking, but why is that the case? Like, why do people use 4:3 instead of their native ratio? And people will probably say that they have that because the operators look bigger. Now the question is that does that give you an advantage? Does that give you an edge over enemy players? And I'm going to answer that question for you in my personal experience. So for aspect ratio, I use native like the longest time, and I will say that I have killed a lot of players with that setting. But I'm not exactly a god. I'm still not a god with these settings, and I had my moments. And ever since I changed 4:3, have I noticed a little bit of performance boost improvements? But I will say that it has affected my gameplay. It has affected the way I look at things, the way I perceive things. But did it actually make me improve as a player? And the answer I have for that question is that sort of, but it's not something that it's not guaranteed. So let's take pro league players for example. If you ask a pro league player why they choose 4:3, they'll probably say the exact same thing that I just said. It's because the operators look bigger and that they want to have an edge. The bigger the targets are, the easier it is for it to hit. Not all pro league players use 4:3. Some might even use 5:4. Hell, they might even use default. If I knew. But in my case, 4:3. So I'm going to speak from an average player standpoint. I am an average player. So 4:3. On screen right now is gameplay of default aspect ratio and 60 FOV. I will get into FOV in a second, and you will see that everything just looks so close, so smaller, and much more even thinner. And I ran that for the longest time, and I could still perform as well as I did as I am now. I mean, obviously people's skills change over time. But if I were to look back and then I said, alright, I'm going to choose 4:390, will that affect my gameplay? Yes, it will. It will affect it in some way. But is it static, not dynamic? Meaning that will it just give you a boost? Will it give you a negative effect? And honestly, that's all up to you. That's all, it's personal preference really. So for aspect ratio, people will say they have a better time playing using 5:4. People will say they'll have a better time playing 16:10. I never use 16:10, 5:3. I never use anything else. I only use 4:3, so I can't exactly say whatever, what they think. I don't speak for everyone, but they'll say that, they'll probably say that they just perform better. They don't want to use a certain aspect ratio because it just doesn't work for them. 4:3, it works for me, and I just found myself, just hitting my target just a little bit more. Sometimes I still miss, but 4:3, it's everything is just stretched out. Everything's just much more bigger. And is that a setting that you should change when the second you get into Siege? Like I said, it's all down to personal preference. If you just mess around with the settings, long enough, and you actually study how everything looks, then you will see some sort of change in the way you play and how you play. And I'm here to answer you that, will this improve you? Will you get better using this setting? Will this make you some sort of a god tier player? I will say that, like I said, I don't have a definitive answer. This is all down to personal preference. But there's a question among a lot of players, like, does it actually make you improve? And I like to treat this as a theory, as like a science question. I asked my friends, and I asked them, what was your aspect ratio? What's your FOV? Did it actually improve you? Did it affect your gameplay? They said yes. They said that it affected their gameplay in one way. Why is that? Have you seen any like changes from 60 to 90?
Yes, I have. Because let's use for an example, you have 60 FOV and there's someone to your right. With 60 FOV, you might not see them because you have a smaller, I guess, vision area or FOV field of view. But if you have 90, you'll be able to see them coming up on your right and possibly preventing you or your team from dying.
Okay. Alright, Kirst, what is your aspect ratio and FOV?
I use 4.3 and 90.
Okay. Have you seen any improvement or performance changes ever since you changed from default to 4.3 and 90?
Definitely.
Alright, how so?
Just being able to peek more effectively. It's more of a... It's kind of like a...
oh no.
something in my mind. It's more of a...
Alright.
It's not like a real difference. It's more of a preference thing.
Okay. So,
just what looks better, in my opinion.
Okay. So, Dark, what is your aspect ratio and FOV?
5.4.
5.4
FOV.
5.4, 84 FOV. And have you seen any performance changes ever since you used default to 5.4 to 83 FOV?
I've never used default on PC.
So you just immediately switched to 5.4?
I mean, is default like the one on console?
Okay.
Or is console like different?
Alright. Because you're originally a console player, aren't you?
Indeed.
Alright.
I mean, I use 5.4 in FOV, like, and the 84 FOV because at that, I could comfortably use a hollow sight without, like, because if I miss at that point, like, say I'm peeking someone, at that point, if I miss, that's just me missing. Like, it's not a situation where it's like, oh, I really wish I had an ACOG here to peek him, but... And then, on top of that, whenever I go into the building, improved ADS speed without an ACOG, and at the same time, it's like, I have a somewhat increased zoom, because 5.4 just brings everything close to you, really.
Okay.
Makes it easier to see.
Alright. Moving on to FOV. FOV is, according to the game, set the vertical field of view in degrees. Basically what that means is, if you change FOV, it'll change how far out is something. So on screen right now is 4.3 with 90 FOV. And let's take this for example. You're 5 feet away from an operator, and you're using 90 FOV. He looks pretty far, but he really isn't. And if you look at the same guy from 5 meters away, but you're using 60 FOV, he'll look much closer, but he is still actually 5 feet away. Using 90 FOV, he'll look farther, but he really isn't that far. And there's also another thing about field of view that I found was a huge benefit for me, personally. And it was that 90 FOV makes you, it'll make you look like you're going a lot faster. Rainbow Six Siege is a game that you have to be on your toes on. You have to keep moving around. You can't stay still. And obviously Tachanka is living proof of that. You can't stay still. With 90 FOV, you'll just look like you're going Mach 5. Not really, that's an exaggeration, but you just look faster. Big disclaimer, this does not actually make the operator themselves go faster. So meaning that if you're a 2-speed, this will not make you into a 3-speed if you're using 90 FOV. If you're a 3-speed Ash, this will not make you into a 5-speed Ash if you're using 90 FOV. And vice versa. If you're using a 2-speed operator using 60 FOV, you're not actually going slower. You're still moving at the same speed. It just looks like you're going faster. Now, this is more of a, actually no, this improved my gameplay a little bit, if not, I say a lot, because it suits my playstyle. My playstyle is more fast, run and gun, and I can be a little bit methodical as well. But I excel at games such as Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Star Wars Battlefront 2, and of course I don't actually run around like a madman, in Siege. I say it if it suits my playstyle, because Battlefront 2 and Call of Duty Modern Warfare are fast-paced games. They are pretty much run and gun. With 90 FOV, it'll feel like I'm in a fast-paced game, and it suits me, and I can actually make moves on enemy players faster. However, this does not mean that you are actually faster than the enemy opponent. If you were to run against a player, so let's say if you were to have a foot race in the game from point A to point B, if someone's using 60 FOV and if you are using 90 FOV, you still will be moving at the same speed, provided that you two are the same speed. Two speed versus 2 speed. And do people actually change the setting? They do. But is this something that will instantly make you improve? Like I said, it all depends on your playstyle. It all depends on how you want to look at things, how you want to feel things, and you will feel a lot in Siege. You will feel like you're going slower. You will feel like you're going faster. And people will say, I rather prefer playing at 60. I rather prefer playing at 75. I prefer going 90. And these two settings that they are so often overlooked by new players. Well, not I say often overlooked. They're looked at mostly because these are settings that they see a lot. Like, why is it stretched out? Then why does it look different? They play so well with these settings. Does this mean that I can actually do the same with these settings? And my answer to you is that maybe not. I don't have a definitive answer. All I can say is that this will affect you in some way, either positive or negative. All I can recommend to you guys is that once you start up the game, mess around with your settings a little bit, change from 5.4 to 4.3, 5.3, even 1910 even, change your FOV to 60 to 70, 90, whatever suits your gameplay style. But all I can say is that if you see somebody with settings that you think makes them good, there's plenty of videos like, oh hey, you can copy my sensitivity, you can copy my graphics, my display settings, whatever, and they'll probably claim that this will instantly make you better. I'm here to tell you that that's probably not going to be the case. Everyone plays in their unique own way. You can't replicate Bolo if you wanted to. You can't do that. You can't replicate Pengu. You can't replicate Canadian. Everyone plays unique, and that's the special thing about this game, is that everyone plays in their own way. But I'm here to tell you that these settings, they're all down to personal preference, and there will probably be people that has like 4.3 to 90, with the exact same settings that I have. But does that mean that they are a better player, or is he on my same skill level? Probably not. We all play differently. But these two settings, they change the way how we look at things and how we play. So I guess my answer to you is that change your settings, see what really fits you, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If you improve, you'll improve. But this is not something that this will not be a definitive answer. This will not instantly make you improve. It'll just you'll just be a little bit different. Not instantly different, but just different, if that makes sense. So let me know, guys, what your thoughts are on aspect ratio and field of view, and if the philosophy behind it actually makes sense. If the question being that, does it actually make you improve as a player? That's my question to you guys, and question to myself. So, but my answer, I don't have a definitive answer. All I can say is that it just makes you different. It affects you in some way, whether it be positive or negative. But yeah, this is going to conclude today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If not, dislike, I won't bite. Subscribe to see more fresh FPS content, and let me know your thoughts on aspect ratio and field of view. Let me know if I'm wrong about anything. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.